us a little bit of a lowdown on where you start in the house, and can the consumer be there with you, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, great question. The best thing is to have that upfront conversation with the buyer, whether it be via the agent or the buyer is actually vetting multiple inspectors.
Right.
Vetting means that as I mentioned, I got this last step opportunity to see if this home is for me.
Right.
I don't know everything, so I'm relying on that professional, that licensed individual to go through there and tell me in the end, what am I dealing with here in this home? You get that opportunity to say, what's the background, what's the process. Not every home's different, so the inspector should ask, what type of services do you need? Like I said, is there a termite inspection needed? Certain loans require termite inspections. They need, exactly. They need it on every job, not necessarily every property, not necessarily. The agent really deciphers that. So as far as the process, you finally select that inspector that you feel comfortable is going to give you the best knowledge of the condition of the home. The inspector walks through, sets the expectations. The idea is not to scare the buyer, right?
Exactly.
So what I think are issues, I see this issue every day, I see it every week. It's not a big deal, here's how you handle it. But some buyers are not in that position to know, so they might think that a small issue is a big issue.
Right.
So
I've seen that happen.
Yeah, you see that happen. So what the inspector should do is set expectations, but put things in context, right? So you explain the process. The inspector will say, okay, based on the size of the home, based on the services that's being offered or needed, the duration may take 2 or 3 hours. Whether the buyer is available for what I call as a walkthrough in the end, which is very helpful. I come from a home building background, so we always did walkthrough with buyers. So I have thousands and thousands of walkthroughs. So what the thing is that gives that buyer the opportunity to see, feel, and touch what the inspector is talking about. You don't want to be there while the inspector's there, because the inspector feels like maybe you're looking over the shoulder, plus you're asking questions. And what that does is each inspector has their own process, as probably everybody does in their job. And you don't want to knock that inspector off of his rhythm, off his process, because that's a big deal. So in the end, what you're doing is, if you have that opportunity, you meet with the inspector at the end, and that inspector's walking you through everything that they find. And that way you can have that discussion right then and there. You've got your key concerns that maybe now they're eliminated because I feel good because I thought these were concerns, but the inspector tells me based on the condition of the home, they're no longer concerns. Well, fantastic. So now you're being educated on the house, you're being maybe informed on some maintenance issues, etc. And typically by the end of that walkthrough, you're knowing 95% of what's going to be on the report coming. The new construction and existing construction, existing homes are two different things.
Yeah, you did one for us last week, new construction.
Exactly.
Or 2 weeks ago.
So the used home is something that when an inspector puts it all together and puts it on a report, not necessarily the seller is going to do anything. So, but that agent is the person that really is a professional that instructs that buyer on what we can go back to the buyer with. On new construction, a little different animal. Is that everything is all legit, right? The purpose of the inspection, they're legit items. So really the builder, if they're all legit, the builder should do all those. So that conversation could be had with the buyer, how to help that buyer get through the process to get all their items taken care of at the end. So if the buyer cannot make the walkthrough, then generally there's follow-up calls, there's FaceTime for those that are out of the state. The report is basis, we're all licensed by the state. That report it's a standard report that all inspectors use.
Let's talk about an inspection report, how you break it down. You don't have to necessarily go in order of the report, but let's hit all the high points, or what the sections are.
So as I mentioned a while ago, everybody's perception or knowledge of the home or what issues or components on the house are all different, right? So the important is to set that expectations, but properly inform the buyer of each of those issues or deficiencies. And you got to set at, let's say, a level of urgency. Obviously, is it a foundation issue from a home built in the 70s? Is it a plumbing issue? Is it an AC issue?
Roof, whatever.
Roof, whatever the case may be. You got to have that conversation with them, because that goes into the report, because the report is made up of different segments, the roofing, the plumbing, etc. It goes all the way through, and it's all spelled out in a nice format to where if you take that issue and you define it and clearly define it, make it simple terms where this is what the issue is, and show a picture with it, image with it, and that way that buyer feels comfortable that they have they've been informed, they have informed knowledge of the condition of the home. So it's all broken out. It tells them everything they need to know about the home. if they weren't with the walkthrough or it's in addition supplement of the walkthrough,
Right.
and that's their last bits of information that they get in the report. And if obviously there's questions, I don't understand something, maybe it was in the attic, and of course inspectors can't take
Right.
you in the attic. Please explain this to me. And the inspector should always be available to answer
Right.
those questions, whether it be from the buyer or from the agent. That is, you want that buyer, again, each home is different, each buyer is different. You want that buyer to feel comfortable that they pay for an inspection and they've got the full knowledge of the condition of the home as best as possible.
Right. You know, for us as an agent, when we're negotiating, if an inspector doesn't put much detail on there, it's hard for us to go back to the other agent, the seller, and say, hey, you know, this is what they're asking for. They check this box, needs improvement or whatever, but the detail is very minimal. That doesn't help us. I know you do pictures on all your stuff, so elaborate on that a little bit.
You don't want a general, inspector should not have a general report that this one line satisfies all issues, right?
Right.
Because it's so easy to get through.
Right.
You want to be specific, and that specific is where you're not gray, if all
Right.
possible, try to
Right.
avoid the gray. Inspector cannot definitely a lot of times say that this is the exact cause of it, because
Sure.
they may not know. The thing is that tell me what the issue is, describe it clearly, who can handle it. Maybe if you did a walkthrough and now that issue has been talked about, maybe you can bounce back and forth to the inspector, the
Right.
possibilities, or how to remedy it,
Right.
how severe is it, etc. And the report with the pictures should be clear enough. I take a lot of pictures. I don't
Yeah.
put them all in there. I put
Right.
the best picture for obvious reasons.
Sure.
And then that picture also explains a little bit more, maybe in depth, a little next step as far as what the issue is. And that way it gives the buyer a comfortable feeling they are in the know. They know for sure what the issue is. So that report shouldn't be bloated with a bunch of verbiage that you have to say,
Right.
okay, what is the issue? I mean,
Right.
I've read half a page here.
Right.
You know, it's just a
Right.
copy and paste of what it. So if you want to, you can ask for maybe a copy, an example of the report, a report that the inspector would provide. If the agent may have one, fantastic. But the most important thing is to ask those questions in that vetting process with the inspector.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Well, look, folks, there you have it. Jeff, extremely knowledgeable. He's been doing this for many, many years. Was in construction prior to doing home inspections. What you're going to see down the road, we're going to probably do some other segments, talk about foundations, talk about roofs, HVAC, kind of break it down a little bit more. We appreciate your time. Thank you for stopping in, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.